Hello, Sarah here. I'm here to have another conversation for the sake of ourselves. So today's conversation we're having is a conversation about forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is a really big topic. There's so many angles and lenses we can take a look at and waypoints that we can look at forgiveness and, you know, how to forgive, what's the process of forgiving, should you forgive, um, you know, how do you forgive yourself? How do you forgive the people around you? The blah, blah, blah. There's so much to talk about forgiveness. But last night, somebody I was in conversation with, asked me, you know, how do I forgive? Or what is the process of forgiveness? Like, I'm clear I want to forgive this person in front of me. I'm clear, it would make a difference for myself and that person to forgive them. But what really even is forgiveness? And it's a great inquiry, and everything I'm about to say isn't any right answer. Forgiveness is a big topic, and yeah, it really depends who you are, where you're coming from, what your values are, what you're committed to, what you're out to accomplish, and also the circumstance and situation in front of you. So first of all, forgiveness isn't a permission slip to allow poor treatment of yourself or poor behavior of yourself, or even forgiveness of yourself and continue to allow poor, not accountable and responsible ways of being. Like, first off, forgiveness isn't just a big permission slip for anything to happen and to go forward with. Forgiveness is actually a pretty serious topic. It's pretty, near and dear, and it really offers a lot of value. So I guess the first thing I want to just preface with forgiveness and what came up in the conversation last night is, for me, I see almost like forgiveness as a two-layered thing. I see forgiveness with two distinct layers, two parts to it. And the first thing about forgiveness, and all of this is inside you are a person who's looking to forgive something that happened to you. There's other conversations of when you have done something, or you have acted in a certain way, or you have caused harm or impact, where might be looking for forgiveness. And that is a topic in of itself that we'll talk to at a later date as well. But there's parts of that conversation even in here. So no matter what situation with forgiveness you're in, pull this conversation towards you and use it as an inquiry point. Use it as a way to start thinking for yourself, what is forgiveness to you? What do you need for forgiveness? And how do you forgive? So this is a very personal conversation, and everything I'm about to say is my own personal opinion and where I come from, also where I coach and facilitate from, and what I bring to my clients and my loved ones around me. But this is where I've come to, and there's so many ways to say this, look at it, and come from with forgiveness. So forgiveness, as I said, I look at forgiveness as, like a two-layer aspect. And first and foremost, forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for you and your peace, for your energy, for your well-being and health. So I'm going to take the circumstance, something's happened to you. There's been some kind of impact that somebody else's actions, ways of being, or inactions have had on you. And there you are, and you're, hurt in whatever way, hurt physically, hurt mentally, hurt emotionally, hurt spiritually, hurt, ontologically. However, there you are. You're experiencing an impact that you have the experience that somebody has done to you. And, it could be a really large impact. It could have a lot of consequences where you are. You could have to work extra hard for your well-being and health now that this thing has happened to you. And, so first, everything you're experiencing when something happens to you, or something has happened that has a whole bunch of, chain reaction where you are, an impact where you are, your experience around that first and foremost is valid. So a lot of emotional response comes up when something happens to us, and especially when that's from something somebody has done, said, or not done, or not said. There's an experience where we are that we're having that has a lot of emotional response that's happening where we are, and it's all really valid. It does get to point to, the things that are important to you, and and the kinds of needs you might have and the kinds of needs that weren't met, or the kind of boundaries that you have and the kind of boundaries that were stepped over. So inside the topic of forgiveness, there's lots of subtopics that we can talk about, and I'll try not to get too off topic or digress. But I really wanted to just start this conversation of, what is forgiveness and what is the process of forgiveness? Why forgiveness? And my philosophy is, forgiveness is for yourself. It's for the sake of you. It's for the sake of your well-being. It's for the sake of your energy and life force. It's for the sake of your day-to-day peace and enjoyment and the availability for peace and enjoyment. And now that's not to step over what your needs are and your boundaries are and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But we can kind of deconstruct it a little bit so you can get more specific for yourself. So first, there you are, something's happened, and first you need to give yourself the room, and you get to say how much room, time, and space you might need to process whatever feels and emotional response comes up from this thing that's happened. Forgiveness doesn't have to be rushed. It doesn't have to be overnight. It doesn't have to be, okay, great, I forgive myself. I forgive this person in front of me. I am asking for forgiveness. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. It's all of the emotional response that comes up when something's happened is actually really valuable, because all the emotional response that comes up starts pointing you to, what did I want here? How did I want to be treated? What is important to me? What am I request for with the people around me? What do I need? What do I want? What are my yeses? What are my nos? So whenever anything happens, there's a lot of really great kind of valuable terrain to dig into, to discover ourselves and to grow ourselves and to see ourselves and see what we need and how we operate, so we can meet ourselves where we are and work with ourselves. And so, you don't need to rush forgiveness. You don't need to rush into any new space. Be with wherever you are right now and, work through questions like, kind of like what I said, you can, something's happened, and ask yourself, how did I wish this went? How did I want to be treated? How did I want that person to respond? What did I need? What would I like to have been able to ask for? How do I wish it would have went? What did I need to be said? How did I need to be talked to? What kind of ways did I want to be interacted with? What would have had me be seen and heard and gotten and valued? And you're not asking these questions inside of, now building expectations for the person, that has done this to do those things. This isn't actually, you're not asking yourself these questions to get a result to come at you or something to happen outside of yourself. These questions are for yourself. These questions are for your own navigation system. These questions are for you to discern what your own needs are and your wants and your desires, so that you can advocate for yourself and make the requests you need to make and find out where your boundaries are and where your limits are and your yeses or nos are, what you're willing to participate in and what you're not willing to participate in. So these questions you're not asking how do I wished it to be, to get yourself worked up and get angry at the person for them not being it. You're asking yourself these questions, how do I wish it to be? So you could say and have some understanding with yourself, oh, this is how I would have loved it. This is what I feel I would have needed. This would have made a difference for me. Now, how can I go out and have that happen or fulfill what I need so I can feel settled here, so I can feel empowered? Because what happens when something happens to us, right? Like when some person does something, says something, acts in a certain way, again, whether actively or passively, consciously or unconsciously, we can feel at the effect of something has happened to us. There is somebody that has done something, and we want to go to blame and go to fault and go to I am the victim of this situation. And yes, something did happen, and you are very valid for your response. And, it would have been nice for that thing not to have happened, for you not to have experienced that. And some things are really not okay, and so some things are not okay to repeat, and some things are not okay to be with. And sometimes there are, times and situations where, you need to remove your energy from that person or that environment because it just doesn't work. So, that's all really valid. So I'm not saying you need to forget and keep continuing in the environment you're in, or keep staying around the person you're around that might perpetually be doing something that's causing you harm or upset or unworkability. So, but there you are, this thing has happened, and there can be a real pull to, that person did something to me. They're at fault. They're to blame. And I'm the victim here. All of that is valid. Like, really, that person did X. You had this impact of Y, and here you are left with it. And sometimes it's really freaking unfair. Sometimes it's like, that's a real burden, an extra emotional labor or physical labor. Like, there can be real impact. There can be physical impacts when somebody does something to us. We can have real physical impacts that require us to take extra time and attention and work extra hard to build back to health and well-being physically. Same with mentally and emotionally. Somebody that, has caused harm or has done something where there's an impact, really can have caused harm, where then now the burden is on yourself to have the emotional labor, the mental labor to repair and restore where you are. And, is that fair? No. Is that okay? No. Does that suck? Abso-freaking-lutely. Like, it's very valid to be like, that didn't work. I didn't want that to happen. That person, that was not okay. And I would just invite you, though, again, blame and fault, there's a place for it in valuable information where you get to kind of dig into the terrain to get this information for you. But to stay stuck in that person has done something to me, and that person is job, title, name. They've done that. They're bad. They're wrong. They're this, they're that. Has a cost on you. And then it kind of keeps a perpetuating of an impact and damage and harm to yourself that person might have initially caused, but then you're keeping alive. And, I don't want to say that in a way to invalidate in any way, because it is very real to want to be really angry and upset at someone. And there's a lot of value in your anger and your upset. So none of this is to bypass it or to step over it. But once you have, been inside of your anger, the blame, the upset, the judgment, the complaint, the sadness, the grief, the loss, whatever the real emotional response that you experienced is, meet yourself right there, be with it, sit with it, get the valuable information you need from those spaces. But to hang on to that and to keep inside of that for too long, and you get to say what too long is. I'm not here to assess the length of time, because it really depends. It's so circumstantially based, and it really depends on the person, what's happened, your environment for repair, all kinds of things. So you do get to say your length of time, but the longer you are in that, the longer the impact keeps getting to have impact on you. Some of the impact you can't control, but some of the impact you can. So forgiveness then gets to come in, and forgiveness gets to be a real gift to yourself, first and foremost. It isn't, you don't forgive someone initially for them. Initially you forgive someone for the sake of yourself, for the sake of you saying, okay, wait, you might need to even forgive yourself in whatever happens. Like, it starts over where you are. There you are. This thing happened. You've gone through your emotional processing of it. And, you're kind of done with the emotional processing. You feel you juiced out all that emotional processing and gotten all the information. And you're like really ready. Okay, I'm ready to move to a new space. I'm ready to release this and let it go. I'm ready to have some peace of mind. I'm ready to step forward into a new direction. I'm ready to open back up again. I'm ready to move forward from this and have my life again. I'm ready to have my power. I'm ready to be empowered. I'm ready to be the creator of my life. I'm ready to accept what happened, even though I didn't freaking like it. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. It wasn't okay. It wasn't fair. I'm not a yes to it. And I'm not okay that it happened. Fair. and I'm ready to exhale and let go and move forward. I'm ready. And there is where there's a real opportunity first for forgiveness for yourself. And you can take a look. What first do I need to forgive myself for? Is there anything I need to first forgive myself for? Maybe I put myself into certain parts of that situation. Maybe I let that go on too long. Maybe I didn't speak up for myself. Maybe I didn't get angry or upset about it. Maybe I didn't pull myself away. Maybe I stepped over my well-being. Maybe I stepped over my safety. Maybe I stepped over, taking a look at, and again, none of this is to blame yourself or turn the blame on yourself. Absolutely not. This is just you taking a look at, is there anything I first need to forgive myself for so I can be at peace, so I can take whatever learning I want to take from this and move forward, so I can take this as, I don't like to call it a lesson, but like a valuable lesson, valuable learning, growth, expansion. I can take it for, it happened. I can't change that it happened. So how am I going to juice this opportunity for everything to bring myself value so I can then move forward, move on, and build and rebuild trust that I have grown from this experience so I can have the experience of feeling safer in new experiences. So none of this is meant to turn the blame onto yourself, because absolutely not. No way. No, thank ya. You're very valid for being upset with what happened of something that was not okay. And it's not okay to then turn around and start blaming yourself or victim blaming or anything in that shape or form. But there is a lot of value for yourself to just take a look at, observationally aware with no charge look. Is there anything I would have done differently for me? Was there anything in my power or control that I could have put in place, or that I need going forward, or I want to make sure that's going in place going forward? Asking yourself, what do I need here? What do I need to take great care of myself right now? What do I need to process what I just went through? What do I need to forgive myself? What do I need for my own peace of mind and peace of energy? And as you start asking yourself that again, what do I need and what do I need here, you will usually come to your own place of, I do need to forgive myself. I do need to be a space of forgiveness so I can let go and move forward, so I can release and accept that this happened regardless how fair or not okay, or how wrong that person was or anything. At some point, again, back to what's our promise of our relationship with ourselves? Well, if I'm a promise to be a got my back best friend, okay, what do I need as a got my back best friend right now with this thing that's happened and I've now processed for long enough? Well, as my got my back best friend, I do deserve to enjoy again. I do deserve to be in life again. I do deserve to feel alive again. I do deserve to connect and interact and gift myself joy and well-being and all the things that I love. I do deserve that. I want that. It's, as I got my back best friend, it's time. I get to do that for me. I get to do that for the sake of me. I get to put in place what I need for the sake of me. And so you can, continue that line of questioning more and more. And what else do I need? What do I need for my safety? What do I need for my peace of mind? What do I need to trust myself? What do I need so I can trust the environment I'm in? And these are very personal questions, and they might not be very easy answers. So, get out your journal when you're looking, or some paper and pen as you're looking through this, and list some things off. What would I need to go forward? What conditions in the environment do I need? What can I put in place for myself? What can I have a say in here going forward that's going to give me peace of mind? And even if it's a bit, harder edge, usually I don't, I advocate for people not having to feel like they need to protect themselves and have strong boundaries, because you can keep yourself, behind that protection and behind those boundaries and miss out in connection and repair and restoration. But often first, you need to know that you can take care of yourself. You need to know that you can put in place what you need. And those might be some strong boundaries, some strong limits, some strong advocating for yourself, and some strong protection methods for whatever your needs are in the environment that it is and what you need. Like, meet yourself right where you are as a got your back best friend, as a beautiful sacred relationship with yourself and how you want to take care of yourself. Like, take freaking great care of yourself. But part of taking great care of yourself is giving yourself the peace of mind so you don't have to have that dominate you day in and day out. So you have more space in your body, your mind, your heart, and all the layers of yourself to be in life, and to have some fulfillment, and to have some joy, and to have some of the feel good. Like, you can have feel good and joy at the same time as grieving something, and at the same time as processing something emotionally that wasn't great. You are allowed to still be in life and experience the things that are really great and filling up for you at the same time that something bad or something not great or something you didn't like and something that wasn't okay happened. You can actually be in both places at once, and you deserve to be, and really it can fill you. This isn't to step over the stuff that was crappy and crummy and ja. No, that still does require your time and your attention and your processing and the healing and the releasing and the learning and the growing and all of what comes from that. And there's so many different ways you can approach that, whether it be, you could, take on some therapy or like talk therapy and somatic therapies and different processes and different works and, different genres of healing methods to go through whatever you need to go through so that you really are taking great care of all the layers of yourself with whatever this is that happened to you, because you do deserve to feel great in your body. You do deserve to feel great in your mind and your heart and your feelings, and have a healthy, grounded, rooted well-being where you feel safe, you feel secure, and you feel that you can participate and that you matter. Now, often, unfortunately, we can be in circumstances that our environment and the people around us aren't able, capable, or willing to give that to us. And so this is where, unfortunately, and it is unfair a lot of the time, and I don't like it either, but like, for the sake of ourselves and for that great relationship with ourselves, this is the work we get to do with ourselves because we can, and waiting for other people to do that might not be the best solution, and it might keep you there for longer and longer, missing out on, some health and well-being and groundedness for yourself and some real enjoyment and satisfaction in this, very time-sensitive life that we're in. So, I think it is very worthwhile for us to take ownership and accountability for our livelihood and for our peace of mind and for our enjoyment and for our fulfillment and for our healing, regardless of the people around us or the person that did the thing to us is participating in repair or restoration. We can take on the repair and restoration for ourselves. Again, doesn't mean you need to forget what that person may have done or what was okay or was not okay. And you get to say, does that person get to continue in your energy? Does that person get to still, have some of your space and some of you? You get to say what your participation with that person is going to be going forward, because it might not be appropriate to have any kind of energetic interaction with that person depending on, what the circumstances are of whatever has happened. So all of this is really for yourself and for your own joy and peace of mind. So forgiveness really is firstly for you. So, as you do that emotional processing, as you get to that place where you're really ready to, okay, I'm ready to have some livelihood again and some life again and some enjoyment again, and I'm ready to have some empowerment again or power in this situation with what just happened. You look, is there anything I need to forgive myself for first? Is there anything I need? Is there anything I need for my trust and for my safety and for me to, anything I need to say, anything I need to do for myself, any kind of healing or well-being work that I need to take on for me, regardless of whether it's fair or not, or, a burden or not, there you are, and you do deserve your satisfaction and fulfillment. And so you go through that process, which again, it sounds so simple talking about, but that can be like everything I'm talking about here can take, days, weeks, months, like, depending on what it is that's happened. Like, unfortunately, we do live in a world where some really, really atrocious things do happen, and humans act in ways with each other that really are so freaking not okay. So I am sorry if something has happened to you that was really not okay, like really. And unfortunately, we do live in a world where that does happen right now. And some of those things are really atrocious, and some of those things won't happen overnight, the healing for it. It will take, sometimes years of, taking it from different angles, and it's layers of forgiveness and layers of healing that happen. So just start where you are, and you can have the first layer of forgiveness of, what do I need to forgive myself for? What would make a difference? What do I need? What do I need for my trust, security, and safety? And then from there, once, you move forward with that, and again, that might not be fully complete. You can still move to the next step. And again, this is layers, and you might come back to these layers and spaces. Something might activate you again, and you need to come back here. But then you can take a look at, okay, now what do I need to forgive that other person? And when I say forgive that other person, it is not forgetting, it is not abdicating your accountability and responsibility to your safety, because you deserve to be safe. You deserve to have an environment where you are treated well, where you are seen, heard, gotten, and that you matter, and that somebody is treating you respectfully and safely. So you do deserve that. So forgiveness does not mean, oh, I forgive this person and I'm going back in for more. Like, no, that's not what forgiveness is. But forgiveness is like, okay, I'm somebody who really, I don't know, you might not be where I am, like interested in coming from even where I am, but I like to come from agape kind of love, like just this unconditional love for humans and people and each other. And that doesn't mean that you are going to spend time and energy and effort with that person just because you have agape or unconditional love for a human. It's like humanity. All of us as humans, we make mistakes. We do things that are not okay. We have had different things happen in our lives, and sometimes we don't even know what it is that's happened in that other person's life to have them be who they are and how they operate. But they are, there they are, there they are, there they are, they're who they are. Again, you do not have to choose to participate with that person or share your energy with that person, but that's a human, that's a struggling human. How can you bring compassion that, they did what they did, they repaired and restored to the level they repaired and restored, which might be nothing, which might be absolutely nothing. They might not even have any accountability or responsibility or acknowledgement of the harm that they caused. And I'm sorry that you're not getting that experience of that kind of completion with them, for them to approach, saying and acknowledging what they've done. Really, I really am, because, it really doesn't feel good. And then the burden gets to be on you for that repair and restoration where you are, but you are worth that repair and restoration. And please don't wait to get that from outside of yourself. You can gift that to you from inside of yourself. So, that person over there did what they did. And, you can be specific. It's great to get out your journal and write down, like, what specifically did they do? What specifically didn't they do? How did they show up? How didn't they show up? What was okay? What wasn't okay? What do you wish they knew? What do you wish you could say to them? What do you wish you could hear from them? How do you wish they would act or react? And then what I like to do, and you can do this in whatever way you want, you could say, okay, yeah, I do deserve that. I do deserve hearing that, seeing that, getting that restoration and repair from that person. And that person, for whatever reason, isn't available to give that to me. It's not okay. It's not fair. It doesn't feel good. Now, how can I give that to myself? What do I need to release this and to forgive this person for what they did, for my own sake, for my own peace? And, write out whatever comes up. Write out what you would need to say. Write out your anger. Write out your frustration. Write out your upset. Purge it. purge it, move your body, put on music, move your body, shake it out, dance it out, cry it out, yell it out. Do what you need to do to purge it and release it and have yourself be free from it. And then, you can, declare it complete. You can do a ceremony. You can, all that paper that you wrote on, you could burn it, safely burn it. Or you could, do anything that you want as a ceremony. And then you can declare, okay, I get to be free of this. I forgive myself. I forgive this person. I accept what happened. Acceptance is not me saying that it's okay and that I'm okay that it happened. It has happened. There's nothing I can do to rewind and have it be different. It's happened. And now, what do I need to go forward for myself, for my safety, for my trust, for my peace of mind, for my heart, and for this relationship with myself? What do I need to go forward for this relationship with myself so I can still have enjoyment, love, play, connection, feeling good in my body, my heart, my mind. I can have wellness and well-being. I can have healing. What do I need? What do I want to put in? What's going to be things I can do to take really great care of myself as I go through this journey with myself, as I release, as I let go, and as I forgive? So that's a lot of different aspects, and without the specifics, we will go more into forgiveness, because forgiveness, again, there's so many layers. And even for yourself, if you have done something that you're not proud of, that doesn't feel good, really doing the work to forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself does include some form of, if you have done something, in my opinion, forgiveness of yourself does include some form of restoration and repair, because without that, you're stepping over a meaningful part of forgiving yourself if you have done something that does hurt, harm, or impact another. I do think, for the sake of yourself, and again, not for the sake of the other person, though it would give value to the other person, I think, admitting to ourselves what we did that didn't work, that wasn't okay, that had that impact, asking ourselves what we need to forgive ourselves. As soon as we start asking that, it usually does bring up some form of acknowledgement to the person or a group of people or situation that the harm or impact was caused in, some acknowledgement or validating of that, along with some interest and investment in restoration and repair. And I get, not everybody is an environment for forgiveness. Like, the person that, did the harm might not be an environment for forgiveness, and the person that received the harm might not be an environment for forgiveness. So there might be some limits and reach on the capacity for forgiveness, but you yourself in your own environment can always have a say of being in forgiveness and bringing, integrity, for lack of a better word, wholeness, completeness for yourself, for your well-being, and for your peace of mind. What do you need to say to that person, or to repair to that person, or to restore to that person, just so that you know that you truly, honestly, wholeheartedly showed up to restore and to repair. And this isn't meant to keep you feeling bad about yourself, keep you feeling crappy about yourself, keep you feeling guilty, or, that you're a bad person. No, but sometimes we do cause harm. Sometimes when we do things, it can be very passive or unconscious, and we don't mean to. Sometimes, truthfully, our anger or frustrations or things that happen can get the better of us, and we actually do it consciously, and, vengeance can take us over, and, we do things that really freaking are not okay and do cause harm. And so sometimes we are the ones that are causing, harm or impact or something negative, or, a burden on somebody else, or, something else that is in our best interest for ourselves to look for forgiveness for ourselves and others. And in the process of forgiveness, again, forgiveness is not just, I ask for forgiveness. Okay, you're forgiven. It doesn't, great, that'd be great. It doesn't work that way. It's like, no, it's like, get specific of what you are looking for forgiveness for. Get specific of what you actually did or didn't do. Get specific with, what kind of impact might that have had? Like, actually look, like, what kind of impact might that have had? Do I feel good about that? Don't I feel good about that? Do I want that? Do I want to know myself that that's how I act and interact? How do I want to know myself here? What kind of human do I want to be? How do I want others left around me? And again, a lot of this is for the sake of yourself, because you're out to have a fantastic relationship with yourself. And if you have caused harm or have treated someone poorly, or, haven't shown up in the way that, fills you up of the kind of human you want to be, you're just going to be left with this unease. You're going to be left with this, dominating thoughts and not a peace of mind. You're going to, and if you bypass your thoughts and your feelings around it, you might even come up in physical manifestations. You might actually get physically ill from the upset or the stress or the anxiety or the, just not wanting to be with it and pushing it down. Like, in some way, there's usually some form of festering out way it comes out of us if we are, stepping over restoring and repairing with ourselves and the people around us. So forgiveness, whether you have done something that you're looking for forgiveness for, or whether something was done to you that you would, like to, go and let go and move into a space of forgiveness, regardless of, what side of that forgiveness you're on. It is for the sake of yourself. It is for your relationship with yourself. It is for your peace of mind. It is for your well-being. It is for your health. Like, you deserve that kind of peace and fulfillment, but it isn't a straightforward process. It does have layers, and it does include getting specific about what happened, getting to take a look at what has that impact and really been, what has been the consequences that have happened from that thing that happened. How did it leave someone and make them feel? What do you need? What do you need for yourself to restore and repair your trust, your security, your safety, your well-being? What do you need? What do you need to say? What do you need to hear? And again, you might not actually say it to the person. You might not hear it from the person, but being clear of what you might need to say and what you might need to hear, and gifting yourself at least the outputting of that, is really, really cathartic and healing. So, you deserve a space where forgiveness reigns. You deserve a space where there's peace of mind, peace of heart, and wellness in your body and groundedness in that. So I'm going to leave that conversation there. There's so many things I could keep going on to, but forgiveness, have an inquiry with yourself. And another great thing of way to look at forgiveness, as I say, I'm about to complete, I go bypassing, I go, boo, scroll. But it's one thing to even look like, if somebody has done something to you, how would you want them to approach forgiveness? Really, like, how would you want them to approach that? What do you need and how do you want to feel? Sometimes taking a look outside of ourselves and, what we kind of expect from others, not like we need to go around expecting from others, but our expectations do point us in, some clues of, maybe those are ways that I want to behave and show up, because that's what I value in a human. And that's kind of maybe the human I'm out to be, or would like to be, or would know myself or be fulfilled in knowing myself if I show up that way. So you can use your expectations in a way of, how would you expect somebody to approach forgiveness, as a way of what you might be looking for yourself in forgiveness, or what you might need. Now, again, don't expect the people around to show up in any particular way, because you don't actually have a say on that. It's fair to want that. It's fair to request that. And they may or they may not, unfortunately. And I don't want you to get hung up waiting for that, because you deserve your freedom now. You deserve your peace of mind now. And so please gift yourself forgiveness, gift yourself forgiving yourself and forgiving the people around you for what has happened, so that you can have peace, joy, and fulfillment, not as a way of bypassing your emotions, because please feel out your really valid emotion response system to whatever happened, because there's really valuable information in that terrain. So with that, I am going to sign off for the day. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, for the sake of ourselves.